Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, and thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
My Father, who art in nature, oh, what could be your name? Is your work ever done? Could you play with your son? There will always be trails to save. Every few years, perhaps just a few times a century, visionaries are born or spring up out of the earth. Visionaries who are so focused and forward-thinking that regular life is just an afterthought or even a hindrance. And sometimes the visionary has a family. My father is John Olmsted, and this is my story.
In the golden rolling hills of California, in the golden rolling hills of California, it's been so long, love, since you said goodbye.
There ain't no reason things are this way. It's how they always been and they intend to stay. I can't explain why we live this way. We do it every day. Preachers on the podium speaking of saints, prophets on the sidewalk begging for change. Old ladies laughing from the fire escape, cursing my name. I got a basket full of lemons and they all taste the same.
So this is the script. It's 120 pages, which is about average for a 2-hour drama. So we're gonna try to make a left turn on Divine with traffic and cops coming, which is always good. Everybody. So we gotta deal with in Hollywood, huh? Man. So this is called King Snake. It's a story about a mid-30s guy who's celebrating his 35th birthday, but he's depressed about it because his life is going nowhere, so he takes a drug running job down to Mexico and abandons his friends. I can't relate to it at all. Okay, so I'm gonna hand in the script. It took me 4 months to get a hold of this guy, and 4 months for him to say okay he would take the script. So it's the end of the day. I got a shot of meeting him when he walks out, but this is the deal you do when you come down here and you've had, how many careers, how many jobs have I had? Too many, over 50. So for some reason, writing and directing is the closest thing I've come yet to one. And if I ever get to get paid for it, that'll be great. But yeah, wish me luck.
Growing up, I didn't really feel like I fit in, and I certainly didn't feel very normal. Even though I wanted to, I didn't have the self-confidence to join any team sports, so I rode bikes. But I practiced a lot and actually got pretty good. When I was 19, I dropped out of college to start my own BMX bicycle company and ran it for 5 years. But you gotta sell a lot of bikes to pay the rent. I gave up trying to figure out what normal is a long time ago. About the time I started to learn about my father, John Olmsted. On September 29th, 2010, a new cancer tumor was found in my dad's liver.
Good morning, room 207, please. Oh, John Olmsted? Hi, Dad. How you doing?
And he was given 6 months to live.
Wow, how much stuff do you need to bring? Like, where are you gonna sleep?
I don't know anything, man. His house doesn't have any sewage, so.
So you gotta pack for a camping trip?
Yeah. So, here we go. Sweet. Nice. It's my French press. That's good. This is the first year I actually put off my taxes, so I'm gonna have to take my 1040. Of course, I'm nothing like my dad. He puts off his taxes every year. Sometimes you just gotta head north, you know?
Yeah.
Don't know what's gonna happen, but
I hope everything turns out great.
all right, dude, take care.
All right, man.
Don't let my apartment burn down.
No, I won't. I'll keep an eye on things.
All right.
All right, I'll see you.
One, two, three, four, 1, 2. Well, yesterday seems so far from me now. I've gotta close my eyes to see.
John Olmsted was born on March 2nd, 1938, to Jack and Ruby Olmsted of Los Angeles, California. Jack, a Rhodes Scholar, would go on to teach at UCLA for 25 years, before becoming one of the founders of UC Riverside. John was born in a bathtub that day, as the doctor was stranded in the floodwaters, his life already being affected by the powerful forces of nature.
And wear it like a badge across my chest. Let it bleed from my arm. When everything's for granted, nothing is for sure. So let's take the metro south of here and search for something more. And all that was forgotten seems to crawl back into my head.
Not sure if you can see this, but that's really not good. That's the back brakes, and they have just gone out at a interesting time.
I wasn't exactly prepared to see my dad in this condition. Mainly because he didn't tell me.
I was just singing over there. So happy to be here today.
The beauty of assembled in this little forks of the Yuba River, you know, is very just that exact. A little bunch of sand ran over that place, and that made that.
On angel's wings we rode. On angel's wings we rode. On angel's wings.
Anyway, that's just a little update on what what's happening outside of the ceremonial day to bring salmon back. So stay strong eyes on salmon.
They caught the fish this year, John.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out.
Yeah, that means there's 6 more weeks of
See all
summer.
your faces. It's just a real great pleasure for us. Thank you.
Let me shoot the park really quick. This is all because of John right here.
Going up to the hospice house to apparently be his caretaker. So I'll fix my car on Monday or Tuesday, everything will be fine, but for now, the adventure is about as typical as you could expect. So this is Alden Olmsted signing off from Highway 49 here, driving a beat up Ford Explorer. We're gonna make a stop in town for coffee and beer. For me, not for Dad. I don't think we can drink that stuff. So of course my dad isn't at any sort of normal hospital or hospice. That would be way too regular and predictable. He's off of, I don't even remember what it was, Slowville Creek Road, past the Lost Nugget Market. Look for the turn on the right because it comes up quick. Glad that's not the hospice house, because I'd be staying there.
Blessed angels, won't you carry me home?
I guess this is it.
So I do remember getting up to the hospice on that day with Alden, and I remember him looking around and puzzling over the variety of things that he was up against, and I could tell that it might become a little overwhelming for him. Yeah, when I was driving away from there, I remember sitting out in the car for a moment and wondering, how's Alden gonna handle this? Does he know what he's up against? How will the two of them get along?
So these are the pills every day. This is the AM before the meal.
I already went out and got my quercetin plus with the resheet.
Oh.
I did that.
Okay. Oh, shoot. Okay. Well, then let's... The resheet.
So I don't need those as much right now. The rest
Okay, ready?
Yeah. Where's my...
Come in. Morning.
Oh, well,
It's okay.
Let's have the glass of
Get some water right here.
Morning, guys.
My
Morning.
goodness, there's
How you doing, dear?
Good?
a lovely lady bearing...
I just fed him before the pills, so I forgot.
There's just this coolest dead tree thing on the road.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
You know, the
That's
one
cool.
that looks like a guy pointing up.
Yeah.
He built a wall that the rain took away. Somebody's station wagon got smashed that day. He tells a joke whenever he can. He's a mighty, mighty old man. Knights of Columbus with a feather hat on his head. Mr. Caretaker, Grandma's lawny bed. Smarter than most folks, grittier than sand. He's a mighty, mighty old man. He kept his tools in pretty good repair. For Hearts on Sunday, he was always there. Plumbing and hard work, he's apt to understand. He's a mighty, mighty old man.
This is my first time doing poached eggs. I've never done poached eggs, but I figure it can't be too hard. How long is it, Dad, for a poached egg?
3 minutes.
Okay. Okay, so our water's boiling. Dad, what do I just put the egg right in the water?
Oh yeah, and no way. I mean, just dump it in there and throw away the yolk. I throw away the shell.
Okay. What is pardon? All right.
I think poached eggs are a 19th century phenomenon.
All right. Well, we live in the 21st, but oh shoot, we gotta have the toast. What kind of bread? Can I use any bread in here, Dad?
I like the millet bread we got at the Flower Garden Bakery.
Okay. And he doesn't like it too black on the toast because that's carcinogens, which is no good for the cancer. These are the old brownies, which were mine. Those are the funny brownies. I call them the 60s brownies. They're the ones that Dad eats when he gets a pain. And so I guess I'm just gonna pull this out like this. Oh, look at that. That's not bad. There's your poached eggs.
Oh, they got the
Here.
book that my picture's in there.
Yeah.
They were looking at the
He's watching a special on Yosemite.
National Geographic.
So Dad, your poached eggs ready, okay?
What do you mean? Aren't there two?
Well, I gotta get in here and see what the heck's.
Yeah. Do it fast because this boy's a wanderer. He's a happy wanderer.
Recognize this voice. Just
Hello?
say hello.
This is Alden.
Oh, well, Alden, this is Sally, but you would not recognize my voice, nor would I recognize yours.
No, I wouldn't recognize yours, but nice to talk to you.
Well, it's nice to talk to you. I'm so glad you're up there and doing this film. And
Yeah.
Well, he says, people say, how long are you here for? And he says, oh, I'm here for the duration. Well, I think that means till we get me back in my house and the toilet is pumped. That's one duration he's after.
Yeah.
John, I don't think ever had any intention of going to the hospice to die. I think John went to the hospice to live. He went there to get better.
So I'm not here because I'm terminal. I'm here because I'm rising into my next more egoless self.
well,
So anyway, today is this rare State Trails Committee meeting here that's, it's rare in 35 years because they're talking about the Cross California Trail after it's sitting on their map as an artifact, and they're finally deciding, well, we're going to throw it out of there or make it official, and I think they're making it official, so it's a rare moment.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, all moments are rare to you, John.
Yeah, well, I know.
I'm Bill Olmsted, John's brother. I was born in Paris, France in July of 1936. And we moved to a house that was on Wellworth Drive in downtown, in the west side of L.A. John was born at that house, and we lived in that Wellworth house for probably 3 years, and then moved to a wondrous home, and that was on Glenroy Avenue in Westwood. That's just below Sunset Boulevard, one of the famous ones. When I was 8 years old and John was 6 years old, we took a bus trip up the Eastern Sierra. We had to take the bus because of gasoline rationing during the war to Mammoth Lakes on the Eastern Sierra, where my mother and my father had honeymooned in 1929 in a little one-room cabin on the shore of Lake Mamie, one of the great Mammoth Lakes. And that was a place where I caught my first fish. John remembers that it was a good 12-incher and that he didn't catch anything while we were there. And we had been talking John Muir all our lives, too. So having John become a modern-day John Muir was something that absolutely expected.
Welcome to the Earth Planet Museum in the basement of St. Joseph's Cultural Center Grass Valley, California. This is John Olmsted on April 21st, 2004, the 166th birthday of John Muir. Anyway, so the story that gets really exciting is when I get to the place where Muir says,
Well, just tell the part about the 100 years. Why is it? What's the big deal with the 100 years?
all right.
Just start at the Central Valley.
The reason
the Central Valley.
No. Oh.
And then I signed on with UC Riverside, which my father had helped found as a member of the first full 4-year graduating class in 1954. And John wound up from Principia. He came back and went to Pomona College.
And then you heard about his position in Golden Gate Park, or you heard about
the Golden Gate Park was really the first thing that I remember about his situation up here.
My aunt gave me the beautiful job as driving arboretum because I didn't want a full-time job. I actually wanted to be able to still go out on hikes and do wilderness stuff.
So I ran it around in the parking lot. What's this, Ron?
What's this?
Well, this is
What's it? Oh my goodness. Is that a video or?
It's a video and audio, yeah.
Video, audio, video. Hey, how you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
I'm Ron Patterson, and I first met John Olmsted when? Bling.
Hey, yeah, I'm Ron Patterson, and I think I might have met John back in about 62, not later than 63, something like that, at UC Berkeley Extension. And the Natural Environmental Studies program was a very active program. We did about 30 trips a quarter, And a lot of our general public were teachers.
That wanted to take the classes.
That wanted to take the classes, wanted to, be informed, learn something, have something interesting to pass on to their students and so forth. And so John was sort of like the translator of, bigger science into lay language. And I felt really, really strongly and encouraging about it because, it was a way we were making more people, aware of and involved with caring about the natural environment, which has always been the thing that I and John cared most deeply about.
Well, so now we're on Coleman Valley Road here in beautiful West County, and going to see one of my dad's oldest friends and his biggest, I guess one of his longest supporters. He's sort of the Federal Reserve Bank of John Olmsted, I think.
Made it.
Hello, Peter.
Right on time. Good to see you.
How you doing? Good to see you.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow, you've got a classic.
I do, yes. Yep.
Could it be any longer?
No, probably not. Yeah.
So
okay.
Tell me when
you're
you
right here.
We're ready to roll?
We're ready to roll.
Well, I met John, like you say, like a lot of people did. When I signed up for a class at UC Extension and run by Ron Patterson, the natural history of the Sierra Nevada. What better class could you possibly take? So I jumped at that, and of course, met John, and then I said to myself, well, I'm going to have to spend some time with this guy because, this was fabulous.
But my teaching, it's all my teaching. It was 20 years of teaching. They were all my students. I organized my alumni. The slides that got me the job first went to Zach Stewart, the landscape architect that hasn't talked to me since 1972.
There's apparently a guy named Zach Stewart that Dad actually had a falling out with, and apparently refuses to talk to Dad. So let's go see what we got. So I guess the Canessa Gallery is what we're looking for. I'm going to call Mr. Zach Stewart. Hi, hopefully this is Zach Stewart. Hopefully Peter Myers gave you a heads up, but my name is Alden Olmsted, and I am John's son. Perfect.
So.
All right, Alden, my name is Phyllis Faber, and one of my earliest recollections of your father, John, was in San Francisco in probably 1970. He rented Grace Cathedral. What he did was have pictures. The humpback whale was pretty much in everybody's focus at that time. They had newly discovered that humpback whales sing and communicate with each other through their songs. And so John had photos of the humpback whale displayed on the inside of Grace Cathedral on the walls, on the upper walls. And then the sounds of the humpback whale, there was a recording. Bellowing sound of the humpback whales was all through the cathedral with these photographs of the whales all around the sides. And then, and the place was crowded, and there were a lot of young people. And then Allen Ginsberg, I think once an hour, this went on all day, and once an hour he would come and process up the aisle doing his thing, so and they would stand at the front of the cathedral, and they had chosen talismans, or they had chosen specific animals that would represent each of the congressional delegation. So for every member of Congress, at some hour during the whole day, they would read the congressman's name and the organism that they had selected to represent that. It was an extraordinary day. I think San Francisco had never seen anything like it. And who is this John Olmsted that can do such an incredible thing and get away with it? I mean, there wasn't a single law officer there worrying about pot being smoked in the cathedral, or there was no minister saying you're desecrating this temple of Christianity.
I love Northern California with its Catholic missions and Buddhist temples. Walk west with me through the town of Occidental. We'll walk beneath the redwoods, they're nature's tallest tree, and I don't quite rightly know what that says about me.
Phyllis Faber, that was a great, really cool lady. I had no idea about the, man, I had no idea that Dad rented out the Grace Cathedral in 1970 and had whale sounds and whale pictures. No idea.
Hit the red button. There we go.
Okay. You're going to say hello for the first time.
No. How you doing, Zach?
No, what are you doing?
Oh,
no.
I just want to say hi.
No.
Oh. Oh, there we go. There we go. My name's Alden Olmsted. Nice to meet you.
Zach Stewart.
Zach Stewart, nice to meet you. It's a beautiful gallery you have.
Thank you.
So you've known my dad, John Olmsted, for quite a few years, it seems to him.
Well, I've been mad at him for so many years I can't even remember. Because of the Trips Festival, I got interested in slides and visualizations. Those holes up there are for 4 slide projectors. So this, and then we had a giant black thing, we could black out this whole place. And so, okay, so I heard about this guy at the Sierra Club, I think, meeting at one of the hotels in town, and heard he had a whole bunch of slides. I went over there and I was like, wow. He had every damn slide of every damn thing in California, every plant, every bird, I'd never seen anything like that. You know, universities never catch up with that. It's always an entrepreneur that does it. Mm-hmm. So I said, well, I'd like to buy one of those. Your dad said, who are you? I said, well, I just want to buy one. Well, they're $200. That's okay, I want to buy one. And he said, well, I don't have any now for sale. So I'll have my wife make some.
Okay, so now you go. My name is?
Yes, hi. My name is Priscilla Dahlgren Johnson now. I was Priscilla Dahlgren, and I was born in San Francisco on March 24th, 1941. And then we moved to Santa Rosa. So I was raised in Santa Rosa, went to Santa Rosa High.
So you went to Yosemite as a family, and you would...
Yes, starting from I was maybe 6 or 7. And then
every summer you would meet?
Every summer we camped there, and we hiked up to Vernal Falls, Nevada Falls, and up the 4-mile trail to Glacier Point, Yosemite Falls. We just loved it. Every summer we looked forward to that. So I liked to hike, and then started really hiking with Santa Rosa Junior College Hiking Club, and saw this class in the summer called Natural History of the Northern California Coast. And that was John teaching through the Mendocino Arts Center. Then I got to thinking, well, I had heard this name. I had heard this name before, John Olmsted. Well, I had heard it when I was at UC Davis because one of my roommates knew John from Claremont Graduate School. And so one night after the slide lecture, I went up and asked him, he knew this girl, and he said yes. And I said, well, I've heard of you. We met, and one thing led to another, and we were married in February of '67.
They say I have my mother's eyes, but I can't see it. I know I have my father's stubborn streak, and I have my brother's old guitar, but not his talent. I used to have my grandma's antique watch, now I haven't. These are things that came my way, made me what I am today.
Well, we went to our cabin in the San Gabriel Mountains up at Mount Baldy, and our car got stuck in the rushing creek, and there was just nothing you could do to get it out. We spent the night in the car in the middle of the creek. You could open the door and get a drink of water, but in the morning John had to walk out, first light of day, and then walk out 11 miles uphill to try to get help while I stayed and waited in the car. And the curtains had kept me warm that night, so he was in the front seat, I was in the back seat. And then Eric was born at the end of the year, and so we had many adventures.
No way!
Wow!
2-run home run! That line was foul! Oh! Woo! That's what we needed. Only one out still.
Who was it?
Aubrey Huff.
Oh, great. Yeah, was Aubrey Huff the one with the red beard?
Yeah, he's got the red goatee.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, the slides that got me the job at the first went to Zach Stewart, the landscape architect that hasn't talked to me for since 1972.
And I talked to him the other day.
Zach Stewart. Are you kidding?
How
this world?
So,
typical.
So I waited. I paid him the money, and I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and finally this amazing collection of slides appeared. All they have
Categorized,
colored.
yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, color coded with the X's.
Have you ever seen that?
Oh yeah, we had them in my house. We watched them all the time.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
So then he said, as John would do, no, I want you to go up to Mendocino with me. And I said, I'm not going to Mendocino. I don't go anywhere. I stay home. No, I've got some redwood trees up there that are only 3 feet high. Well, that got interesting.
Jug Handle Creek and Farm is about 7 miles north of the town of Mendocino on the Northern California coast, and is now a state reserve. This is where it all began.
This one over here is standing by a 6-foot high Mendocino cypress with mature cones on it. This may be 50 years old, and it's the height of a human being. And this one shows the same guy, you see, with a waist-high tree with mature cones on it. Yeah.
I can't see that. Oh, yeah.
So that's a tree at crotch level or waist level.
So then there were 20 or 30 people up there, and he got them all lost. They all went different directions. And, you know, I'm a mountain climber, and I've led a lot of parties, and the goal is not to lose your people all over the mountain. And I thought, this guy is great. There's nobody like him.
Now, all the friends of the farm, the boards of directors, did things like I carved this welcome sign with some instruction.
When we visited Mendocino, we really sensed the impression that John was going to be a naturalist.
Now, you call yourself an ecologist. Now, what do you think the difference? And
I'm going to tell you that I'm an ecologist turned undeveloper.
That's when John first heard about Jug Handle. And there was the wife of the famous soil scientist, Dr. Yenny. His wife was taking the class.
And they knew all about the pygmy forest.
And that was about the first time, and the pygmy forest was not literally on the map yet then. And that's when, and we got to see it, and of course John was very interested in it, and he's a plant person. It just grew on him, and he got to like it, and then it was all unknown then. Even the people in the area, Mendocino, they didn't know what the pygmy forest was.
And then he showed us this farm he wanted to buy. And he was telling me I was making these real estate promises to all the people who are going to put money in. I thought, oh my God, the State Division of Real Estate will put him away forever.
And I had just found out that this land was for sale for $210,000 for 103 acres, which for anybody would be a gulp when all you had was $5,000 for the down payment.
Okay, I'm Stuart Tregoning, and we bought this ranch in 1875. And 1970, there was 105 acres left, and we made a secret deal since my dad's little brother didn't want anyone to hold any of the property.
So when came back, Joan said, let's drown him in money. So we did. It took a little while to figure out how to do that, but the way you do it is you just sell off the whole farm. Sell off the cattails and the trees and all that. So Joan and I wrote up some text, and Mimi Osborne did this section through the pygmy forest. And then you would, when you sent the money to the, what was she called, the marsh wren?
Oh, yeah.
The marsh wren. When you sent the money to the marsh wren, then you got a card, which is another nightmare, to send out all those cards, saying you've saved 2 cattails or you've saved whatever. And Mimi's gorgeous drawing was on the cover of that.
I have one in my scrapbook.
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah. And Harold Gilliam put it in the Chronicle just before Christmas.
Huh.
That helped. A lot.
This is a poster child for all of that because the miracle stopped where we turned the development away with just a small grassroots effort. We're looking across what was to be a big motel land and is now part of the only remaining complete Mendocino coastal ecological staircase in the world.
Somebody bought it and wanted to make a motel and golf course out of Jug Handle Creek and surrounding bluffs. This was a major crisis.
So this is all a hum of activity on that Friday morning. The bulldozer is going back and forth in there, and the chainsaw cut down a bunch of big trees like this, and they're going to work their way this direction on September 21st, and then it said you can't do private development in California without an environmental impact report. And this became the first test case. And the people on the North Headland, the woman signed the lawsuit against her lawyer's advice. She was an idealist.
A few people came forward, like Mrs. Berger, who owned one side of the, she's a hero, one side of the bluff above Jug Handle Creek.
And she signed it on the hood of a car underneath a freeway bridge on the way to Orinda, in Oakland, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and her lawsuit was on the judge's table at 5 minutes of 5 in Ukiah. And I was driving lickety-split out of here with Polaroid pictures showing irrevocable damage being done by this bulldozer without killing anybody or myself on the windiest road in the world. And so it all really happened right here.
And I came through and mortgaged put a note on my house to pay for the lawyer to, get an injunction. And dumb, really dumb. But it worked, and so we got that stopped, and then Jug Handle became a wonderful park.
Here's a butterfly. Look at this little tiny butterfly. It will visit this seaside daisy. There are micro habitats for plants and animals here. And the seaside daisy is very low to the ground, so the salt spray wind can blow over it. We can ramble on and teach ecology forever, but the meaning of this discussion really is that there's a great deal of education to be done where nature makes her laboratories, and they aren't everywhere. And Mr. Dragness, who was sort of the dragon in the Lord of the Rings story, said, well, what the heck, John, there are trees from here to Ukiah. Well, but that's not true. These are just one set of trees from here across America that happen to have such uniqueness that they're a rare and endangered species of landscape. In fact, a library of rare and endangered landscapes. 30 different kinds of little ecosystems or vegetation groupings and animal groupings live from here to the upper part of the park.
When I was a teenager, I'd seen the little blonde boy and little blonde toddler and I was just a teenager in a park in Santa Rosa, and I just thought, that's what I'd like someday. And it was so cute. And so, of course, then I get 2 blonde boys. I mean, it was...
I have early memories in the Sierra Nevada mountains when he was teaching. The mountains were like an exciting place for me because everything was new. There were new trees to see, new the marmots, the pikas.
And did he have his son or his wife with him at the time?
Yeah, it was great. I couldn't believe it. He carried, all the way up the trail, he carried his son, Eric, in a little backpack on his back. Must have been about 2 years old.
That was somebody on one of the first hiking trips I took was named Eric, and I liked that name and saved it, and that was Eric.
Yeah, I have a lot of memories of Jug Handle because Jug Handle was the first natural area that my father was involved in preservation, and we would go to the farmhouse there, the place that used to be a farmhouse, and we would stay overnight there. And I remember getting there in the late at night and sleeping in the library there. And I remember waking up with the fog there out of the windows and the kind of tree that apparently was an elephant tree. I'm not sure. The botany escapes me, but Dad always knows what kind of trees everything is.
One giant Sitka spruce tree is lying down underneath there, and all of its branches are swept up like that into a kind of what's called a Krummholz, German for twisted wood. And the Sitka spruce is at its southernmost headland Krummholz in the world, and this is, I think, the magic that stopped the bulldozer the 4th time with a snowstorm, because Mother Nature called in the forces of good the way the bad wizard called in the snowstorm to stop the Fellowship of the Ring in the Lord of the Rings story.
Climb the mountains and get the good tidings, peace will flow into you, like sunshine flows into trees while cares fall like leaves.
Did you feel that your family was tight, or that your family was the larger group?
I felt kind of connected to everybody who was there. I felt especially connected to my dad, because it was something that when we went on a hike with him, it was something that we were doing that was specifically related to what he was doing. And so I always felt when he was leading the hike and he was talking about the steps of the staircase at Jug Handle, that I felt especially proud of him. I felt especially, lucky to be his son, that I could go and sit up next to him when he was talking, and I would be there, kind of close to him, and it was really meaningful to me.
And this is, what?
Can I take your picture?
Oh, sure.
And who are you?
My name is, for 40 years I've been, so you could call me John Muir Olmsted, namely an Olmsted born 100 years after Muir, and being a disciple. And I'm now more both interested in the family of man and the parks across America, so I go by my middle name, DeVoe. So.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you. And where do you live?
Just outside of Chicago.
Oh, really?
Climb the mountains and get their good tidings. Peace will flow into you, like sunshine flows into trees, while cares fall like the leaves.
It's not a glamorous job that he has, saving things and throwing yourself in front of the bulldozer and, metaphorically to try to protect parts of the state. And, and the basic bottom line is education, which has been John's whole life. And this is the best kind of education, where people can actually see the natural areas and all the different types of areas that exist across the state.
The idea was that you would somehow finance the purchase of the land so it would not be developed, and then you would turn over and sell the land to some agency or group that would go on and protect the land and keep it as a conservation parcel.
Yes, and that made us into a miniature Trust for Public Land or Nature Conservancy, but the difference was we took bigger chances.
And I think from that, the whole cross-California necklace of open space gems became his dream. And so this was just the beginning.
So, driving into town to pick up some supplies and English muffins and goat cheese. Last couple mornings have been a little tough. I'm kind of feeling a little sick, a little tired, a little bit. I guess just things kind of came to a head. He was real specific with his food requests, and sometimes I'm tired in the morning, I do the best I can, and then he still wants it a different way, and I get frustrated. So anyway, it turned into a big fight, and
Dad, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry too.
I didn't want to argue.
But the only thing I'm glad of is that you saw why I never stayed with the family. Because it was my pride when Priscilla took off. I said the group needs to stick in pairs.
Yeah.
And so, Priscilla has her revolutionary side. I'm not going to stick in
here I'm going down to the bottom of the Grand Canyon. I've been here before, and I'm going to show them how good a hiker I am. And then I let that get into my pride as the teacher. See?
Hey, Alden! That defines this whole week. He's always yelling for me, and I'm right here.
Alden.
Yes.
Working. Alden is the edge of the strength.
I like something a little unusual, and my sister suggested it to me, and so that fit in because we were engaged at Thanksgiving, so referring back to John Alden and Priscilla Mullins back in the Pilgrim times.
Priscilla would be there, and Alden would come up in a backpack, and John would carry you in one of these...
Bright red backpack, yeah.
I don't remember the color, bright red, bright green, but it was a backpack, yeah. You probably hear that a lot, but you know, I remember when you were born. And
There's no one else around, with no place to...
I remember having very good memories of that time in Glen Ellen. We moved there when I was 2 years old. I remember my brother eating sand in the sandbox. I remember us playing baseball in the backyard.
The thing that saved Jug Handle was trying to save like a few acres of redwoods from the Georgia Pacific clear cutting.
Oh yes, one time when we had saving some old growth redwoods in the Jackson Forest, and so I guess nobody would listen to us on the state county level, so we just got in a van, and I drove, and we drove all night. We drove straight up to Georgia Pacific headquarters in Portland, and took the elevator up with two little kids and John and I, and went straight up to headquarters and the CEO, and he talked to them. Said if no one else is going to listen, went up there and told them about saving the redwoods.
That's Rather than telling you what I assumed, to me it could have meant finish the movie, John dies, or John is, we get him going for another year. So I sort of thought it was one of those three, or all, several of those.
Right.
But I forgot about this enormous trip, you know, or I didn't picture it as before or after, or how it could fit in. It just so happens that Annie and I are close. Giving Annie 3 days with me would be a big gift. The one person I wanted to call right now, because there are other reasons I need to call him, is Tom Moore.
Hello.
Hi, is this Mr. Nicholson? It's John Olmsted. Well, if you read the paper, it says I'm not doing too great, and it suggests that we got to do the septic tank. I've got people to help, and people that'll dig on the spot, and I just wondered whether you might have any time to come out. I mean, one of the reasons we got to do it is I can't move back in there and have hospice help unless it's fixed. So it's simple. So I managed to dig myself into a health hole, but it's not.
He's frustrating to people because he gets way over his head with too many things to do. He takes on more than he can manage, and so what comes across to some people is a kind of irresponsibility.
Like a lot of great men, and I consider him a great man, there are paradoxes. You know, John's mind is a scientific file cabinet of information, and he could hold forth on practically any subject related to ecology. But to carry the analogy a little further, if you look at his own file cabinet, or his own house, or his own family, or his own personal relationships, at times they've been a shambles, and of course it's affected his family, and greatly, and so this is the quandary of great people. Can they be all things for everybody?
I had a very good friend, Trevor Thomas, and John decided that he should make a movie of him walking across the United States. and it bankrupted Trevor. So that made me kind of mad at your dad. And I got mad at him for the same reason that you. I was thinking of Bernard Shaw, George Bernard Shaw, and he wrote something about a person who's a crusader. Never get involved with a crusader because they'll eat you alive.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it was like an adventure.
Yeah.
And it turned into this board of directors who was busy giving away the money.
Well, I exhausted myself to the point that I had the greatest visions I ever had, or the woman with me gave me LSD, I don't know which.
He was having a hard time just doing the normal life thing and bringing in the normal amount of money and being responsible for having people to care for.
He was a free spirit, and I think as a free spirit, he would be. It would be difficult for him to maintain a constant. And with his level of disorganization, it must have been sort of a maddening experience to be married to John Olmsted. As much fun and just way out it would have been.
But of course, John wasn't there so much of the time. He just wasn't there. So kind of hard to have a marriage when the other person's not there.
That's a point where I knew that he wasn't around, but I didn't know that it was so bad until I was actually told that Mom and Dad were going to get divorced. And then that's when I cried quite a bit, and it affected me quite a bit.
You look so tall with your hat on, I can't believe it.
I'm not going to take a picture of you. I won't take a picture of you in front of the John.
John in front of the John.
Go for it.
Oh, John, oh, John, oh, John, oh. John, oh, chasing a 2x4 down beside the river door. Oh, John, oh, John, oh, John, oh. Gonna lay myself with my feet to the side, down beside the river mouth. To the east, the Sierra, the range of light, big trees and eagles, dreams can fly. Oh, John, oh, John, oh, John. To the west, the redwoods and the ocean coast, the fog and the seals and the jug handle ghost. North wind blowing through the top of my head, John O's dream will never be dead. Oh, John, oh, John, oh, John, oh. Thank you, John Olmsted.
After many cross-California hiking trips, mostly with school kids, Dad had found the old Excelsior mining canals carved in the canyon of the South Yuba River, and, not surprisingly, had a vision of what they could become.
There we go. Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, well, you're Joe Day.
Right.
And I'm Alden Olmsted.
Right.
And you know my dad, John Olmsted, for quite a long time.
Yeah, long time.
Right. Now, a lot of people, one of the reasons I'm interviewing you is because a lot of people in the area don't know that you sold my dad the land that now became the Independence Trail.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah, I handled all of the real estate transactions for all the pieces of land that went in to make the trails. Of course, I've been in and out of a wheelchair quite a bit.
Yeah.
And when he started thinking about handicapped people, why, he thought of me.
My name is Mary Tyndall, and I met John in, I think, 1976 when I was on a cross-country hike. And he found out that I lived right near a trail that he had just discovered and was going to be developing as part of the necklace across the country. And when he found out how close that I lived to that trail, he became very interested in. Many people don't know that John was not a local person at that time. He lived in Inverness, and he was working with Jug Handle, and he had only visited this area and had found Independence Trail and had very recently negotiated the purchase of that land. So this land here became the spot where lumber was stored. This house here became the place where work parties would show up. So it wasn't unusual to show up if I was out on a Friday night to come home at the end of the evening and see people lying all over the living room floor camped out. And either I forgot they weren't coming or he didn't mention it, but it became sort of the norm. It was always amazing to me how little the local people knew about what was going on before he moved here.
Sometimes I wish that I was born wealthy. Sometimes I wish that I was born rich. I was born on the back of a mule, but I earned every cent.
Well, I remember him telling me when he first had met Sally, he was very excited because she shared his passion. And because Sally had a daughter who was disabled, she was very excited that something was being created where she could take her daughter, Shari, to be in the woods, in the wilderness. And I remember their wedding was one of the witnesses.
Down here, right?
Down there,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I'm Sally, and I met John in late '79. I went to a Sierra Club meeting, and he was the entertainment that night. The first time I visited the trail, it was dark by the time we got there, and we carried our sleeping bags out, and John said, "Step where I step," and I was sitting there in the dark looking at where his feet were, and in the morning when it was light and I looked at what I had done and walking across 6x6 beams that spanned these canyons, I thought, oh my gosh, what am I getting myself into here?
She had a rough road, boys, but now she's doing fine. Yeah, she earned every cent that she...
You know, I don't hang out with, rednecks very much. But he had the old off-road vehicle people in there working with him. And they loved it.
Well, he traveled this country far and wide.
And in the beginning, things were kind of scattered. Well, they were very scattered. The paperwork was all over the place, and things were not done on time. And so I was kind of picking up the pieces, and it was pretty hectic at that point. No one was around who thought, other than John, who thought in watershed concepts and having whole parks represent the entire picture of a little area.
Right.
And so he could see that the South Yuba River Canyon lent itself to being a park that was operated in a uniform way from top to bottom.
It was that drive and I have great respect for it. Even though it meant he had to give up a lot and create a lot of wreckage personally in his life, he was able to just keep going.
When you came back to the Sonoma area, why would you go back to the Glen Ellen Church if you weren't a Christian at the time?
Well, of course, God was speaking to me through all this, and he spoke to me first up in Mendocino when we lived up there. It was a beautiful place we could see the whales from our kitchen window and everything. And I got to thinking one Sunday, I just thought, I'm used to going to church on Sunday. And so God was trying to draw me back, because I had gone to Sunday school in my childhood. Then we moved to Glen Ellen, and things had to happen a certain way.
My name's Sandy Zimmerman, and I met Priscilla sometime in the mid-70s probably. I met her at the Glen Ellen Church.
And do you remember her coming to church or just dropping the boys off? Or?
I remember both. I remember the boys coming by themselves, so she must have dropped them off, or somebody did.
And so Eric was just, or turned 4 right after Alden was born, and he started to go to Sunday school, and I went with him. And then when Alden was in a stroller, he started to like it. He would hear the songs sung and the piano going, and so then he started to go too. Well, he was just a toddler, but it took us a while. Took me a while to give my life over, accept Christ, and be baptized.
But I do remember the boys being distinctively different from one another. Not, of course there's a 4-year age difference, so they're going to be different anyway, but the older boy was the more quiet, introspective, kind of compliant, eager to help.
So you're saying that Alden wasn't compliant?
I'm saying Alden was not compliant. Yes, that's what I'm saying. And in contrast, it was a huge contrast to his brother. Alden was definitely his own person. You could tell he was bright. You could tell he was articulate. But I also thought he was hurt or sad or angry. But I remember him running away. If he didn't want to do something, he would bolt. Absolutely, he would bolt. Yeah, no, that's definitely a memory of Alden.
I came up to Mount Gilead and began working there in 1983, and every year we had literally thousands of children coming through camp, all sizes and shapes and all sorts of personalities. And I do remember Alden. His mom, Priscilla, brought their 2 sons. One of them was just a model camper, everything you'd want in a kid. But I remember when Alden showed up, he was different. I knew he was going to be a challenge. I got the idea that he didn't really want to be there, but then I didn't get the sense that he wanted to be anyplace else either. He was just kind of a lost child, just kind of going where his mom had sent him. The only people he really seemed to be able to connect to at camp were the kids his own age. I think the adults, as much as we tried the typical things that you do with campers, just didn't seem to faze him at all. It was just like his own little reality. And I can definitely see the lack of that male role model in his life. It's something that he had to develop some trust with his friends, and I think probably he gained some trust with adult role models from the parents of his kids, because I know who a lot of those guys are, and he still respects their parents. And I always knew if there was a kid that seemed to be a challenge or someone that seemed disoriented, not knowing why he was there, Alden was one guy you could assign to this kid, and he would get the best out of it.
For me real quick, just hold that and aim it towards the corner.
Oh.
I'm going to walk around the corner with my dad.
Just hold it like this?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
What's he doing?
He's going to walk around the corner with his dad.
Yeah.
Is it a video?
Yeah.
Well, when your luck like breaks, there's always another answer.
There's always a way. Oh, you can follow us, or there you go. We couldn't fix the sandals, so that's the footboard solution.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, works all right.
Oh, and I didn't show that.
Oh, you did? Oh, I already filmed it before. That's okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, yes, it was the oddest thing. And then when I was working at the Vallejo home, I would be listening to the radio, and on KCBS they would have reports from John and his group of people going across. And so he would call in and talk about it. So actually I was able to follow the trip all the way back east. And then one time we did turn the TV on, and when we were living in Sonoma, and there he was right walking across the Golden Gate Bridge, right at the beginning of the news.
This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was out walking that ribbon of highway, I looked above me, there in the skyway, Well, I look below me. This land is your land.
This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, to the Redwood Forest, to the Gulf Stream waters. This land is made for you and me.
I met John Olmsted for the first time in 1969. I was a fourth grade teacher, and a parent in my classroom had taken a UC course from John. She talked me and the PTA and the school board into allowing us to do a fourth grade across California trip. And the California history, because fourth grade was California history then, so everything just fit in perfectly.
Been an environmental education teacher at Ceremony High School in Daly City, Pacifica area for 35 years, and I met John, and as I recall, he contacted me. John knew that I was able to take my students out of the classroom. I had the students, and he had the dreams, and he had the ideas, and it was great. It turned out to be a wonderful relationship.
What were the kids? What did they think of John? What did they make of him?
I don't know. I can't answer that.
You can answer it.
I can't.
They got a lot out of the program.
Yeah.
The one thing that was kind of scary for them, the only thing, I think they were really excited, but he would leave them on these things where they'd have to sit by themselves. And for the first time, that was for fourth graders. That was really scary.
And what do you think was the students' impression of John?
Well, when John talked, he'd sort of close his eyes a little bit, and he'd go like this. He'd close his eyes and he would talk because he was visualizing what he was saying also. And so my students weren't used to that for some reason.
The Aunt Betty, I would go over to her, $1 million house, and of course she had a good John Muir book there. When I realized we were both born in in the year 38, that fact went straight into my
inner psyche.
And it struck the bell. It included the being born in a bathtub in a flood.
And did it seem that it was hard for him to be away from his sons over the years? Did you?
I imagine it was, yes, because they are connected to him. They look like him. They are like him in so many ways.
Footsteps don't make sound till I walk. Till I walk.
Like when I would go to a baseball game and other kids' parents would be able to come to the baseball game, and my dad couldn't come, then I would feel the lack of his presence. I would be acutely aware of it. And the times that he did come, like there was one specific time that he came, and Dave Haddon was pitching, and I saw him when I was on deck in the batting circle, and I saw him come into the stands and sit down, and I went and I stood up at the plate to bat. And I was feeling this excitement that he was there, and this really good feeling that he was there watching the game. So Dave Haddon threw the ball right down the middle of the plate, and I hit this line drive right up the middle because I was feeling so positive about him being there, and got a base hit.
Yeah, come on, give me another hug. This is great. Hey, thanks for coming out and taking care of your dog. Dear old dad. It's more like a broken leg than anything else right now, I think.
Well,
sorry if it's false alarm. Okay.
We'll see you in a bit.
All right.
Yep.
Everybody was supposed to evacuate, but he stayed behind to supervise the firefighting. I ordered 3 truckloads of water, which we put into the fire system that I built out there. And we poured it into the tank, and John kept track of who was who and where they were.
There was a moment in the firefighting of 1988 when the fire system, I was out on this trestle shooting streams of water running all the way across up here 40 feet with 75 pounds pressure by myself, illegally in there against the permission, but I have a PG&E hard hat. And I've got to see how we got to keep it coming down. Well, we kept that all watered down, fought it off here, fought it off up here, up there, and all these trestles were saved, although the state would change them a little from the history. They made it safer, but they lost some of the oldest bridge in the gold rush flavor that it once had.
John and I struggled along with trying to keep enough money going to keep the park growing and working on getting the state convinced that it was a good thing to have in their system. 9 years, it was getting to be just so intense, and the lifestyle was so minimal in terms of anything personal. And we were coming out of Yosemite one day. He had taught a class in there, and he wanted me to write down what was at each mile marker as you left the valley. And I got mad, and we had a fight because it was just everything had to be work. And his whole take on life at that point was that there was nothing valuable except what related to his goals and his whole dream. And that's hard for a second person to immerse themselves in indefinitely.
You know, I used to read the Bible quite a bit, and I used to read these parts of the Bible where it said God is the father of the fatherless. And I used to believe that somehow God would provide for me, even though my father wasn't there.
It pushed me into, I'm writing a letter to Priscilla. I'm writing letters to everybody to ask their forgiveness. I'm contacting the man who tried to get me arrested as an embezzler to get me out of the thing.
But I think it hit me actually harder when I went to college, because then I was away from both my mother and my father. And then I somehow felt the number of years of my father being separated from my father. And so, you know, it was like really years later when I went to Jug Handle. I actually had a dream before I went there. I already knew I was going to be going there, but I had this dream, and I had this dream about the tree that I used to climb on, and I had this dream, and I was crying in the dream, and just crying over all the years that were lost, that I couldn't go there with him.
That's it! The San Francisco Giants are the world champions!
One more.
Come on!
All right. No, I want a good high five here.
Okay.
3 of them.
One.
That's it. 3 of them.
2.
3 of them.
3.
All right. No, the first one.
It did happen when he started taking on projects that required a regular mortgage money.
All right, well, this is Bob Schneider. What are you going to do to continue my dad's work here at Goat Mountain? And where is Goat Mountain, and how does it fit into the piece?
It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
I mean, I first met John in the probably the late 1960s, early 1970s, and John was working on his beads on a necklace plan.
Right.
This Goat Mountain is a key part of that, beads on the necklace. Our key project is working towards a Berryessa Snow Mountain National Conservation Area, which will be designated 500,000 acres of public land.
Yeah. Well, we would like to move forward right away. We'd like to open escrow, get the quitclaim or the thing.
Well, I'll tell you what we would like. We're paying back taxes. We have a dose of taxes December 10th, so, you know, we'd like something that'll help us toward.
Are you overhearing all this, I hope?
Yeah, I'm recording it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody was afraid that the genius that he had displayed would get lost by not following through and securing it.
was the time I totally overdid everything. Buying Goat Mountain, of course, with money I didn't have, getting the legislation for the Heritage Corridors map. Annie says later she just left me because her mother said something, but it all came at once there.
What did her mother say?
Oh, you know, you may have your furniture there now, it may be partly livable, but he's a lost cause. You know?
Well, so we're finally leaving the little hospice in the woods. It's been a crazy month. It feels like 5 months. I can't believe that we got everything out of there okay. I'm out of film, I'm out of batteries, I'm out of patience, and I need to get home. So there's Joan and John saying goodbye to my dad. I got 30 seconds left on the film, and there you are. See?
Oh, there you go.
Thank you very much
You know,
for everything.
Just so you know.
You guys are great.
Hey, lonely desert highway, I can see far here that I am small, and the old stone faces in the canyon wall are watching on my way. Pick any direction and run when it's done. That's what I do when the time has come to face the sun. Change is change, changing rage into melody deep inside of me. More important than the memory, infinitely, infinitely, on and on and on.
I tried to return to normal life. I figured I would start working on the film immediately. But something was missing. There was just no reason for me to be there. And I knew there was only one place I needed to be.
As our sparks host the Messiah in robe-cloaked whispers, and we hide her in gypsy songs. We hide her in gypsy songs.
I think I'm ready to try the tea. Yeah. Did you find it 1 Thessalonians 5:16? Here I am. There it is right there. Rejoice always.
Set me free within the mystery. And sometimes I think it's just for you and me. For you and me. It goes on and on and on. On and on and on, on and on and on, on and on and on. So take me to the sky, she cries, as tears fill up her eyes, and I wonder why the days gone by. Inside the eyes of wise it lies, the answer to this dream. For every river and every stream, into the shaman drumming on the midnight breeze. Can't you hear the people say?
Forgive me, Alden. I know you do. Forgive myself.
For you've touched her perfect body.
God and Jesus and Mother Earth Gaia. We give thanks for all of the strength and beauty around us and all of the food for our souls and our bodies that is brought by everyone and is grown by people with great love. In the name of the true Christian religion, let us say thanks and amen.
That's a good looking eggs.
Oh boy. As you can see, I've gone through my one life and I'm starting out with a new one. So that's going to be really fast. For the Cross California Ecological Trail on your list, if that means the wildest way across California 100 years later. He said, he said, they took me to Market Street and I said, send me somewhere that's wild, and they sent me to Berkeley. send me somewhere that's wild. And they sent me to Berkeley. Okay, so now you can help hold this up. Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. Okay.
Not getting out that easy.
And so this is what the Cross California Ecological Corridor really is. There are 11 large 20 to 100,000 acre gems you could spend a week in that are California landscape reserves, more than any other slice of the state, because we got the Sutter Buttes in there and the waterfowl refuges. And then the little freshwater pearls are like the Independence Trail you went to yesterday, or Bridgeport. And this is the 250-mile necklace across California, which is in the tradition of the family, although I'm a 16th cousin of the other part. And that's my brief history of the trail and parks necklace across California. Thank you very much. Sorry it took 13 minutes.
It was his ability to have a vision and inspire the everyday person to get involved in conservation. Through his efforts, we have Jug Handle, we have the South River State Park.
I think he's most happy when he's leading a group of people on a trip. Maybe it's kids from the inner city that are visiting Donner Summit.
They just thought he was amazing.
In some respects, he was the first ranger of Bridgeport.
And what he has created has been phenomenal. And I cannot think of another person who could have done what he did.
Your dad sees this 100-foot tall Douglas fir, and he says, I'm going to do like John Muir, and he climbed to the very top of this big Douglas fir.
In his mind, the whole universe and everything around him and everything everywhere else, everything that comes to his mind, he sees how it connects to other things.
It's what I'd like to call a religious type experience that people get when they come into these beautiful parks. And it's neat to know the people behind that and what happened to get it there.
Because he is a natural teacher, and he does have the ability to infect people with his enthusiasm, and as I say, the ethic that he imparts, stays with you. Stays with you.
A few years ago, I got a call from Lynn Johnson, who was a photographer doing a series of photographs for a book about John Muir by Gretel Ehrlich.
Nature's Visionary.
Yeah, that was going to be put out by National Geographic, and she had been given my name, and she took photographs, none of which ended up in the book. But while she was here, I said, the guy you really need to talk to is John Olmsted. I said, this guy is John Muir, And so we called your dad up, and so she went up, and your dad's photograph was the one she took that ended up in the book.
And it's a great photograph.
It's a wonderful photograph.
This is the last of the hard goat cheese.
Oh, good.
And then there's some butter.
Right.
Butter on the other one.
Oh, fabulous.
A little
Wow. Wow.
A little bit of cannabis paste for good measure.
Well, that'll keep me going. Okay.
All right, Dad. Well, I guess I'm heading out.
Yep, I can sort of picture you going down your back roads to the freeway and say hello to your mom.
I will.
Tell her.
Hope you get to see Eric in January.
Yeah, well, tell her I'll say hello to Eric and.
All right, Dad. Well, I'll see you later. I love you.
Yeah, I love you. Yeah.
Thanks for everything.
We had a great week.
Yeah, it was a good time. I hope you find your tooth.
Oh, I will.
Okay. Take care of yourself, okay?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, well, that's the rule.
That's the rule.
Quit taking care of the earth, start taking care of yourself.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay, Dad. I love you.
You too.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
Now that I've looked back at my dad's life, learned more about who he was and why, I think I'm beginning to understand. Some people are followers, some are leaders, and some are too busy to even consider the question. They're blazing their own trail. That's what I'll take from John Olmsted. Never give up, never back down. There's always a way.
But now I am found. I was blind, but now I see. When we've been here 10,000 years, bright and shining as the sun, we'll have no less days to sing love's praise than when we first begun. And we'll sing Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saves a wretch like me. I once was lost, oh, but now I am found. I was blind, ah, but now I see. I guess I must be crazy tonight. to dream of children sleeping tight, not playing under skies where bombs will fall. Could it be that crazy after all? I'm calling on love. I'm calling on love. I'm calling on love. Come rescue us. I wondered where the mountains meet the sea. Little souvenirs of